guys, this is my analysis on the film Dangle. So the scene that I chose, it started at 8 minutes and 6 seconds and ended at 10 minutes and 11 seconds. And there was 27 shots in between the scene. So I chose a scene where Mahavir gives a young boy money to buy the milk. And then right after that scene, he begins a flashback to his youth and when he was wrestling. Um, there's multiple action scenes that show him destroying the competition, and those are like full body scenes where you see his whole body. They're wide as well. You see the action behind him, the everything that's going on, um, and you see all that when he's wrestling. Um, and that just shows how dominant he was in the sport, and that's why that's part of the reason why he loves the sport. He was a great wrestler. He was a national champion in India, um, and after that, uh, like after he's done destroying the competition and everything and winning the national championship, and they see after he's done beating everybody, they flash forward, I guess, to the next night or a couple days after, a little while after, and his dad's talking to him, and his dad tells him he's like that he needs to stop wrestling, and that nobody cares about wrestling, and if he's ever gonna eat his medals, he's telling him that he needs to get a job, stop wrestling, that there's no point in doing it anymore. Nobody cares. He curses throughout the scene as well. His dad just doesn't see the point in it. His dad thinks he needs to get another job. The narrator, who we know later on is his niece, or I'm sorry, his nephew. He talks about how, and while the narrator's talking, he talks about how, as much as Mahavir wanted to be an Olympic winner and wanted to do everything for India, he couldn't because there was no support, and that without that support, it wasn't going to be able to happen. So, I think at that point, Mahavir understood that there was no reason for him to keep wrestling, even though he loved the sport, he wanted to keep doing it. Um, Without the support of the government, there was no chance he was going to be successful. Um, and then that I think ties in as well with when Mahavir talks about like wanting a son, and that's why it's such a big deal for him, because he wasn't able to accomplish his goals for India, and he wasn't able to, um, just uh, represent the country he wanted to. He didn't get to have all the fame and glory he wanted to. Yes, he was famous. Yes, people loved him, but he didn't get that big moment that he wanted, and that's why he wants a son so badly, so that he can, not only that his son can accomplish those things, but so that he can live through his son's accomplishments as well. Um, uh, and then the missing scene is pretty somber and sad, I'd say. The music is very mellow and sad. The colors are warm. I think that represents India and the heat and stuff like that, but it's not very bright. Like you could tell throughout this scene that it's not a happy scene. Obviously, you could see that Mahavir is upset. That he's constantly thinking about what could have been, what could he have done. He's always staring at his medals. He's staring at his accomplishments. He remembers and he knows how good he was, and especially after he got in the fight with the new guy in town. The guy's like, "Why'd you stop wrestling?" And he said there was no money, and without he couldn't do it. As much as he loved wrestling, he couldn't do it without the money. Some of the other things I noticed throughout the film was that there's multiple over-the-shoulder shots because there's so many different conversations going on, and those are between Mahavir and his wife, Mahavir and his dad, Mahavir and the new guy that he wrestled and he destroyed in the shop. There's multiple over-the-shoulder shots, and that was really evident is how many different times we see that. And just because of how many different conversations are going on throughout that scene. There's also a lot of close-ups showing Mahavir's facial expressions. So when he's looking at the medals, when he's pondering what his life was, when he's going into the flashback, there's a whole bunch of different just close-ups of his facial expressions where we see what he's thinking, or where we see he's thinking about something, and then we obviously go through the flashback and stuff like that. Um, as well, there's also different match on action scenes, because when you're going through the wrestling scenes and stuff like that, you have to flip the camera. So like obviously if he flipped somebody one way, it would obviously like the camera would switch to whichever way the guy was thrown. That way they can keep going on with the action. It seems like it's not, that way you don't notice it as much. There's multiple match on action scenes between when he was as a kid when he was wrestling, and then as a man when he wrestles the guy in the shop. So I thought that was pretty evident as well. And other than that, I think That's all I got for my discussion. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in.